here, I'm going to send you out a link to this after the fact.
Cool.
All right. So here, inside the dashboard, this happens to be my instance. If I open up any of my exams, we'll go to quiz. Once I've added Lockdown Browser, if I'm looking at the monitor pieces below, you have two options that you can work with. So the first option is to require the use of monitor across the board, meaning every single person in the class is using monitor remotely to take their assessment. This next option is an either-or option, and that's usually when the instructor wants to let the student decide what they feel most comfortable with. So the student could decide to come to the proctored lab and not be recorded, or they could go and take their assessment remotely and use the webcam. So again, this is when the student logs in, they're going to be prompted with this. They get to decide how they want to take the assessment. Now, regardless of the option they select, when they click either button, they're going to see this program dialog box. Now, this is something that we customize here at Respondus, but you can customize it yourself.
Okay.
So, yeah, here, this happens to be my Blackboard login. I have one for all the LMSs, but you have your own. And once you log into Lockdown Browser Monitor, underneath the product heading for Monitor, there's an area called Settings.
Okay, and I'm actually logged in right now, and I just clicked Settings, so I'm following you.
Excellent. So here it says Message to Instructors when Respondus Monitor is enabled. That is the message that would populate for you. So here,
there we go. Okay.
You can change this to say, Respondus Monitors and add on feature. Like you can leave some of what's there already, or you can just change it to say, Respondus Monitor. SUNY Cortland is currently trialing Respondus Monitor. It is only available to specific departments. If you're interested in using it, please contact so and so.
I'm doing it right now.
No problem.
Let's see. SUNY Cortland.
That was just an example. I mean, you may want to, even after you update it, you might think later about, well, let me point them to training resources, let me point them to our center, whatever you think is appropriate.
And we'll get rid of this. Perfect. Nope, I wanted to update this before my two people get going.
No, I understand.
Cool.
So once you've done that, the most important thing is to click that save and close, but you also have to save the settings as well. So there's two.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
So now there's more stuff you can customize in this part of it. I'm going to take you into, so here, once we continue on, I want to explain this first. If faculty decide they're going to use this either-or option to let the student decide, really important. You need to make sure they understand they have to add a password here, whatever password they want to use, because if the student goes to a lab, the proctor in the lab has to enter the password here into the device the student is using to take the test with.
So this password is given to the proctors.
You never give this password to a student, because if the student, shares the password, they could share it with a student that's supposed to be taking it remotely, bypass monitor altogether.
Okay.
So the password is never, ever given to the student directly.
I know you're going to send me the recording, but I'm writing this down anyway.
I totally get it. I do the same thing. I'm a big fan of taking my own notes and then going back and then just looking at it again. It helps me learn stuff better, I think.
Absolutely, yep. And typing doesn't help if I'm typing notes. Okay.
Old school thing, but I used to do the same thing when I was younger. When I was sitting in class, I'd take tons and tons of notes and then go back and reread them a million times.
Okay, all right. So I think I understand the password now.
Okay. So I'm going to go with requirement across the board. That does not require a password. It basically means every single student is taking the assessment remotely and they're all using Monitor. It wouldn't have mattered if I stayed with the other option. I just wanted to kind of have it on record for you that that's the case when you require it across the board. The startup sequence below is exactly the same. Some of these areas are grayed out. Webcam check, that's self-explanatory. If the student is taking it remotely, they have to have a working webcam, and that's why it's grayed out. Anything with an edit text field next to it mirrors what you have available to you here in this panel. So the startup sequence, you'll notice here, there's an edit text field for additional instructions, and then the same one is available here for you for additional instructions.
Okay.
So this, I kind of talk about this as my message to students, if I'm the instructor, what they're supposed to do or what they're not supposed to do. So here I'm telling them, don't access other resources, phone, tablets, notes, don't communicate with other people, please stay in your seat. And then I give a little bit of information about what to do if there's an interruption. Now, that said, some faculty will even include the school's code of conduct here because they know the student has to accept this before they start their assessment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Think about what makes sense for you. Again, this might be more of a policy piece rather than an instructor piece. You can leave it alone if you want them to be able to customize it. Sometimes instructors will include here something like, this exam is worth 25% of your final grade or something like that. But again, you can't have it both ways. Either you customize it and you lock the text, or you leave it alone and they can edit it. Because this is universal. Then every instructor will see it.
So if I lock it.
Yep, they can't edit the additional instructions to the exam.
Okay, and then if I don't lock it, they get the default, and then the instructor can each instructor can edit it to their own preference.
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
The other option you have here, you could come up with some text, you could send it to the instructor, and that could be kind of a compromise, right? So you're telling them what you think are good testing etiquette here. So it's please make sure you don't access other resources because you're clearly stating that, right? What to do if there's an interruption, etc. And sometimes schools or administration have a policy. So, here are the consequences if we catch you cheating, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Now, if you do that and you just send it even in an email to those faculty, they can just copy and paste it, and then they can add their own one line, which is it's worth 25% of your grade. That might make it simpler for them, but that's entirely up to you. We leave it to the school's discretion how they want to manage those editable pieces. These are just recommendations and might be a little bit simpler for you, and it kind of gives you the ability to weigh in on what they're pushing out to the student.
Okay. All right, that's definitely some things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to make these edits now. I just want to make sure you knew how to make these edits, and you may want to have a conversation with the faculty or whatever you think is most appropriate.
Yep. Okay.
All right. And again, just make sure to remember that whatever you edit here, once you edit it, this area just has one more step. You get to lock the text, and then you save and close, but you also have to click Save Settings.
Okay.
Now, locking the text just means that when faculty come into this area, they just simply check the box. That's it. They don't have to worry about any of this. Okay?
Okay.
Now, guidelines and tips, these are just our best practices. They're 5 quick screens. They walk students through best practices so they're giving you the best possible quality video when they're taking an assessment. Avoid rooms where children are present or people. Turn off televisions, radios, etc. Some of these things sound self-explanatory. They almost sound kind of a little bit silly, right? You would think students would get this, but they're just gentle reminders and pointers, that's all. This one, you'd be surprised how many kids wear hats with wide brims, those flat hats. So faculty sometimes will complain they just really can't see them very well. Now, faculty can come in, they can uncheck any of these boxes. It starts off with the boxes checked, but they can uncheck any of the boxes if they don't prefer to use it. Student photo, self-explanatory, but the show ID is an editable field as well. I'm not sure for your faculty, for the courses that are planning to use it, if you know that students have school IDs, because sometimes with distance students, the student doesn't have a digital photo available. So they haven't taken an actual school ID for a distance course. So here you get to weigh on the type of ID that is preferred or required. So for you, if those online students do have digital photos, it could be that they have to present a SUNY Cortland ID. Now, that's editable here. And it follows the same process. If you lock the text, faculty can't change it, but that is more of a policy thing. You know, some schools will say, just show a government-issued ID, cover sensitive information. We only want to see your face and see your name. Not quite in those words, but something along those.
Okay.
Okay. So again, lock text, save close, save settings. Now, the next option here, so student photo, self-explanatory, show ID, that's what this is. The environment check, this usually depends on the type of exam the instructor is giving. For certification or high-stakes types of testing, they may have like more stringent requirements. I have some schools that will use external webcams, and they want the student to lift it, show a 360 view of the room, show me under your desk, the ceiling, so on and so forth. Other schools, faculty, they have experience with other proctoring tools where they might say, use a mirror, right, and show me a view of your room, a comprehensive view of your room. Other schools will say, you know, this is a step above open notebook testing. I'm just trying to make the student more diligent and aware of, you know, when they're testing online, they should be, you know, pay attention. So they might just say, show me a clean view of your room. So it really depends on the faculty member, I think. If you know already the type of assessments that are being given, if they're pretty strict, stringent, you might be in a position to help them a little bit create this. Mine is very basic because, you know, clear papers, phones, books, etc. But I always use an external webcam because I'm an account manager here. We demo this product all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends. It depends. Some faculty, some institutions, if they're using iPads, it uses the webcam built into the iPad. So the student just lifts the iPad and shows the room. It's pretty simple.
Here I am shaking my head, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have a webcam on me. You can't see me shaking my head.
Right.
Okay.
I totally get it. So that's something, again, follows that same editing path as far as edit it, lock the text, save close, save settings.
Okay.
Now, facial detection, I want to make sure I explain this as well. The way the application is set, the student cannot, excuse me, they can't start their assessment unless they pass a facial detection check. So that's the first step. This is why this is grayed out. If your faculty feel that that's too stringent, if you want the student to have access to the assessment, even if they don't pass facial detection, you can uncheck this box, and this will allow entrance into the assessment. I don't recommend unchecking this box, especially for the first time they give an assessment. I think it's good to have a baseline for faculty to see what it is so they feel comfortable with it. If you find for whatever reason you do want to uncheck the box, you know that you can. But again, I would leave it as is just while they test it for the first time to see how they feel about it, how you feel about it.
Yeah, at least for the their practice quiz.
Yeah, I think so too. A couple of things about the practice quiz. Encourage them to give a practice quiz that has more than one question in it, because that's not enough time for AI facial detection to pick up any flags. Some faculty will say, oh, I just wanted to check to make sure all these pieces are done, but why isn't it flagging? Well, there's no video for them to flag because there was only one question. So they should be using, you know, maybe even if it's like they develop a quiz that's based on their course syllabus. Hey, how much is your midterm worth? Have you read the course syllabus? Hey, what are your required books? Here are the options. Just, it doesn't have to be a big quiz, but it should be more than one question long. Now this box here, this I particularly like. You should know that this is how it works. If a student moves out of frame during the assessment, they're going to be prompted with a dialog box that asks them to please get back in frame so they deliver a better quality video. This is a nice to have because sometimes students do things when they're at home that they wouldn't normally do if they're sitting taking an assessment in a proctor lab. So the doorbell rings. FedEx is at the door. They get up to go answer the door. They hear a sound. They get up to go see what happened. But that will cause a flag, right, because the student's not in their seat.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just reminders saying, hey, listen, please get back in frame. You're taking a test. But they're very gentle, just pointers. It's a pop-up box. Please get back in frame. Other students might do things like they jump around in their seat. They move around a lot. They get up to turn the radio off or on, that kind of thing. Again, just reminders that they're taking a test. Then the instructor clicks Save and Close. If you customize any of these fields for faculty, it just means that they're already done. They're locked up. They don't have to do anything other than either uncheck the box if they don't want to use it or check the box. It's super simple for them to use. The first time an instructor spends probably about a minute to a minute and a half making any customization. So if you email them with, okay, here's what I would use, maybe add a line, they're not going to spend much time in here at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very quick for them to get up and running. Then they hit Save and Close. And that's it. Those are the customizations. I wanted to show you a couple of other things real quick when you're in this panel that you have access to.
Okay.
So let's see. This admin area here, you have access to the guides, the settings. The settings is where we did all of this work, but the reporting is going to be nice for you. The reporting will allow you to see the courses that are using Monitor. You can input date ranges if you want. The default is that we'll pull reporting information for one licensing term, for the current licensing term. For you, just so that you know, you have a couple of other options here. You can look at, like if you were running a student purchase model, you could see how many seats were purchased. You could see how many seats were activated during the term. And then you can run CSV file reports on them as well. Now, you can see how many seats were activated by licensing term, that sort of thing. So the customizations are pretty nice. I mean, I usually run custom reports internally here on our servers just to see, what's going on. But here you can run it by term. You can run it for a month, a week, whatever you need. Good information for you to have. If you like the product and someday you decide you're going to license it, it's a great forecasting tool. I want to make sure you know it's here because if you called me and said, Anna, can you run a report for me? The best I can do is give you instructions how to get into your panel to run the report. The reason that's the case is because you're private. I can't get into any of your student information. Anything you see here, this is my information here at Respondus. This is our development team, our account management team. These numbers don't even really make sense because our development team comes in and wipes stuff out all the time so that they can do more testing. If I ran this, you'd be looking at it saying, hey, these numbers don't make sense for that reason. But when you're looking at it, like basically you're going to be able to see, and this is just kind of an example, the courses, instructors, how many sessions, etc. Okay, and this is all, it's all private information to the institution, and that's another reason why your account managers are locked out of it.
Anna, all right, monitor sessions, lab sessions? Is that Proctor? What is that?
Just letting you know, for this particular assessment, there were 32 sessions for Monitor. The lab session, like this is actually a better one to look at probably. So this is letting me know this is one of those either-or exams where you had this many tests that were taken in the lab, this many tests that were taken to Monitor remotely, and this many were taken in a lab. So someone used either-or for that exam.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, sessions are not the same as seats. Sessions refer to the number of times the exam was taken because some instructors will set an exam for multiple attempts, like 2 or 3 times. Lab sessions, the same thing. If you're looking for seat information, you're going to run the report by activated seats or activated seats by licensing term, because that will tell you the seat number. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Right. Now, activated seats, this top level here, in every other instance for every institution in a real scenario, this will give you the number of seats used. So here is just sort of like the top level number. You wanted to know how many seats do we use during the pilot. It's going to show up here. And then you can dig some more and slice the information however way you need. And you can even run a report internally to see which students activated seats. So if you need that level of granularity, it's there. But again, we can't see it. I can't run it for you. We're not allowed to touch anything like that. We're locked out of it.
Okay.
This is something I envision you somewhere down the line. You might have a manager or a director that asks you, hey, how do we find out who's been using it? What faculty have been using it? We're looking at these particular courses. What can you tell me about them? So it's good for you to know that it's there. The CSV file, I don't know how familiar you are with CSV files. I've never had to use them up until I started working here. They're Excel files. So, I mean, you can save them. Once the CSV file populates, you can save it as an Excel file. Generally speaking, it all kind of moves over pretty easily.
Yeah, that's.
I would play with it just like you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I don't have any data right now.
No. I mean, somewhere down the line, once your faculty start using it, you know, some folks will say, hey, we just want to. You might have someone that asks you, hey, how many seats did we use during the pilot?
Oh yeah, that is absolutely going to happen.
You can literally, what's nice about this is going to pull this information in the moment. You will be able to see literally the second you pull this information where you stand at that moment.
Okay.
Okay? So there's no lag in that. Honestly, we get reports sent to us by our product specialist team. They basically send us something every Friday letting us know how many seats our institutions are used. So if you called me, I could tell you how many seats you've used by Friday. But I have no way of knowing, like, on over the weekend, how many seats were used.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
How does... So I've got 200 seats.
Yep.
How does... So I'm a student and I log in. Is Respondus somehow saying, oh, this kid's logged in before, so...
Yeah.
Tell me how that... Yeah, tell me how that...
Yeah. So
how you know that there's only 200 students that are using it.
So basically, when the student comes in and they activate a seat, it's pinging our server. It's letting us know a seat has been activated. Once the seat has been activated, it basically counts down. There's a mechanism that counts down, so you have like 199 remaining. From a technical perspective, I have no idea how it works.
Okay.
I can't tell you how it's determined, but I can tell you it does recognize the user ID, and it allows them to continue to log in. And that student can log in to take as many assessments as that instructor gives during the course of the term. It is an unlimited number of assessments.
All right, good.
Okay. Now, another thing I want to make sure I mention, just even from a licensing perspective, because you should know that this is how it works. Once the seats have been activated, if the school decides, hey, we like this, we want to move forward, there are two really nice options available. I mean, you could license it institution-wide, or you could opt to do student purchase. Now, I know a lot of schools have a strong feeling about student purchase. They don't like to charge an additional fee. But that said, a lot of institutions have faculty that are using some type of proctoring service where it's sort of a one-off thing. The student takes a test, they work with a proctoring company, so on and so forth. I'm not sure what how it's done there at SUNY Cortland, but this is a student purchase model that we offer. It is significantly different than any other proctoring service. If you enable student purchase on your site, so say you use the 200 free seats, but there's no funding at the institution level, this is kind of a no harm, no foul. You can use it at their discretion. So faculty don't have to use it, but if they want to use it, it's enabled, and they can. This allows a student to purchase a subscription with Respondus. It is a 12-month subscription, and it costs $15 for that subscription. So it's not $15 a test. It's $15 for 12 months. It allows them unlimited testing in an unlimited number of courses throughout that 12 months.
That's not bad.
No. I mean, most proctoring services, and certainly verify this, I would just check and see, is anybody using a proctoring service there? If they are, ask them what they're paying for an exam.
No one's using a proctoring service here.
No one's using it. Okay.
That's what I think the plan is to go forward with this once we're done with the pilot, just an FYI.
I mean, once you start researching, right, you'll find that most proctoring services charge somewhere between, like, on the low scale, you'd have to buy a lot of seats to get this price, but maybe somewhere between $7, but the average is probably about $15 per exam.
Mm-hmm.
So to get $15 for an unlimited number of tests, for an unlimited number of courses for 12 months, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Now, the other option, so that said, some schools will say, we don't really care how great it is because we are never going to charge a student-facing fee. We're not going to do that. Administration won't approve it. Now, that said, we offer the institution model, which the first-year model is a flat fee base tier model. So it basically gives you year one unlimited usage for $3,950. And we prorate our licenses based on when you purchase. So if you use this for a couple months and said, you know, we're going to add it, we're either going to wait till the renewal and do it for the full year, it's $3,950, or if we want to add it for May or June, you'd be looking at adding it for a prorate for a couple of months. And that couple of months would be like this cost divided by 12 times the number of months you have left in the term. And then year two is usage-based. All of this information is on our website. So it's all there as a backup if you wanted to go take a peek, and you'll have the recording as well. I never, ever quote a school for unlimited, especially in year one, because the first-year model is an unlimited model, so it really just doesn't make any sense. And usually most institutions will be with us for maybe like 2-3 years before they move to this, unless they have enormous online programs and they come to us directly and say, hey, listen, we're going to use 10,000 seats. We know it. What can you give us for a price? And we work with some for-profit schools that's basically how they work.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to talk to any other SUNY schools at any point, so once you get through piloting it, you like it, you want to move forward, we have a couple of SUNY schools that are using it right now. We have several that are evaluating it as well. I will be more than happy to make those introductions when you get to that place.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I think you have what you need. If you have any questions for me at all, I'm happy to answer them, but these are all pieces I'm covering with you that I would never talk to faculty about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah.
So today's faculty will be all about best practices, how you add the requirements, any questions they have. We'll talk about course syllabus information that's available to them, and all the resources that are embedded inside the learning system for them.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, and both of my faculty members responded. They're coming over. We're going to meet at, I'm 90% sure they're going to be in the same room as me. I did invite them all to come over here and meet with Christina and I. So we should be logging in under 1, but
Okay.
I guess we'll know at 1:30.
So regardless of where they are, and as long as you know where they are, where they're logging in from, no problem. So I'm going to process this video. I have to throw it up on my YouTube page, so it probably will take me a couple of hours. You'll have it roughly by around noon, and then we'll do that other session today.
Okay, awesome.
Let me know if you need anything else. If like you start using it and you go, oh, I should have asked about this, please don't hesitate to call me, email me, whatever works.
You know I won't.
Have a great rest of the day, and I will talk to you later.
Absolutely, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. My pleasure.
Okay. Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.